Hey, it's Cairo, and here are 10 cards you can play against your friends that will make them go, "What does this card do, and why did you play it on me?" So let's get right to it with number 10. Number 10 is a card that if you play in Commander can be absolutely insane. This is Lightning Storm, 2 red, 1 generic, it's an instant. It deals X damage to target creature or player where X is 3 plus the number of charge counters on it. Now how can charge counters be on an instant? Well, if you discard a land card, you can put 2 charge counters on the Lightning Storm. You may choose a new target for it, and any player may play this ability, but only if Lightning Storm is on the stack. So it kind of goes like this: 3 mana, Lightning Storm your face, and then Mike goes, "I'll discard a forest, it's 5 damage to John." And then John goes, "Not so fast, I have a plains to discard, 7 damage to Brendan." And then so on and so forth. And then everybody gets rid of their lands and this thing gets insane. Lightning Storm can be purchased for the low discount price of 24 cents. At number 9, we have Glacial Worm. It's a 7-drop 9/5 trample, and it's the only card that I know of that can be played while you're searching your library. This makes it hilarious to play when you cast your Demonic Tutor and you go, "Oh, by the way, Glacial Worm also." But even better, one of your opponents destroys something and you have to search your library for a basic land, and then you pop out Glacial Worm. At number 8, we have Frontline Medic. It's just such a weird card. It's a weird design. 1 white, 2 generic for a 3/3 human cleric. It has Battalion. So whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control are indestructible this turn, which is kind of hard to make work. But you can also sacrifice it and counter target spell with X in its mana cost unless its controller pays 3. So this one's less surprising, but whenever you pay 3 mana and put this out, they're going to read it and then be like, "What? Sacrifice it to counter this spell conditionally?" And then if they have like Hydras or something, they're going to be like, "What is happening with the Frontline Medic?" Okay, so you can't play this one because it's banned like everywhere, but it's still a really weird design. It's Amulet of Quas. I can't explain this card without explaining ante, and back in the original days of Magic, you could ante a card before you played, and the winner get to take those cards, physically take them home. So you have to remove this from your deck before you play if you're not playing for ante. It's 0, tap it, sacrifice it, flip a coin, target opponent calls heads or tails when the coin is in the air. If the flip ends up in your favor, that opponent loses the game, otherwise you lose the game. Effects that prevent a redirect damage cannot be used to prevent this loss of life, and use this ability only during your upkeep. The opponent may ante an additional card to counter this effect. This card is so evil. You put this out and then you're going to lose the game and lose your ante card. You just sacrifice this, then you have a 50-50 chance to win the game, and if you win, the opponent can ante an additional card and then you roll again. This is absolute chaos, and I can't imagine the feelings that this caused in the early days of Magic. Do you have one friend that you like frustrating beyond belief? Naked Singularity will do that for you. It's 5 mana, it's an artifact, cumulative upkeep of 3. And it changes the color of mana generated by land types. This card is particularly evil against like monocolored decks. So if you have somebody who's playing mono red, you're just like, yeah, all your mountains produce green mana now. Use at your own discretion. I never said this video would make you friends. Number 5 is one of the truly weirdest cards to have ever been printed in Magic the Gathering. This is Goblin Game. It costs 7, it's a sorcery. Each player hides at least 1 object. Then all players reveal them simultaneously. Each player loses life equal to the number of objects he or she revealed. The player who revealed the fewest objects then loses half of their life rounded up. If 2 or more players are tied for fewest, each loses half of their life rounded up. So the name of the Goblin Game here is you can't hide 20 objects because you're going to lose 20 life, but you can't hide 1 object because you're probably going to lose half your life. So you have to hide somewhere in between like 5 and 6 objects. When you reveal the objects, you just go like, yeah, I've got a TV remote, a can of biscuits, a stapler, a coffee cup. What do you got? At number 4, we have a really weird card from Future Sight. Shout out to the Future Sight enjoyers. 5 mana, enchant instant card in a graveyard. I don't think I've ever seen that before on a card. Whenever you play a sorcery spell, copy the enchanted instant card. You may play a copy without paying its mana cost, and if you do, remove the enchanted card from the game and attach Spellweaver Volute to another instant card in a graveyard. It's not that weird except for the enchant instant in a graveyard, but it does make for some like really interesting and fun gameplay, especially in Commander where you can just be like, I'm going to copy that instant, then I'm going to go over to John, put this on the card in his graveyard, do. And that brings us to the absolutely chaos-inducing card, Camouflage. I don't even know it's possible to play this card at a good time. 1 green mana for an instant, you may rearrange your attacking creatures and place them face down, revealing which is which only after defense is chosen. If this results in impossible blocks, such as a non-flying creature blocking a flying creature, illegal blockers cannot block this turn. I don't even know how you plan for this card. I'm not sure what's going on with this card, but I really like it, and I think it'll be a hit in the playgroup. Number 2, even more chaos. Raging River, double red. It's an enchantment. Whenever you attack, non-flying defending creatures must be divided as opponent wishes between the left and right sides of the river. You then choose on which side of the river to place each attacking creature, and attacking creatures can only be blocked by flying creatures and those on the same side of the river. So basically it splits combat into like 2 zones, but the defending player has to pick first, so they're on the disadvantage, because then you can put all your big creatures on the weaker side of the river. Let me know in the comments what you think about Raging River. And that leads us to number 1, and I am not ashamed to admit that I still really don't understand this card. It's Sorrow's Path. It's a land. Tap it to choose 2 target blocking creatures an opponent controls. Okay, so far so good. If each of those creatures could block all creatures that the other is blocking, remove them both from combat. Each one then blocks all creatures the other one was blocking, and whenever Sorrow's Path becomes tapped, it deals 2 damage to you and each creature you control. I don't know when you would use this or what situation it would be good, because it's going to kill your creatures if they're small, but then it like switches the blockers. But that's the whole point. You go, I'm activating Sorrow's Path. Now you figure out what it does, and I'm going to go eat some chips. Speaking of chips, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to go do that now. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up, consider subscribing for more Magic content, and I'll hopefully see you next time.